I wouldn't want to buy a Lamborghini till my business is cash flowing enough that I could buy a Lamborghini every single month of the year.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia, and I'm excited because we're going to be connecting with Mr. Spencer Williams, the boss man of Williams Wealth Creation. So without further ado, I want to welcome Mr. Spencer to the show. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for accepting my invitation to connect and be a guest.
Of course. How could I not?
Well, again, I want to turn the mic over there to you, Mr. Spencer. You're a man of few words, but I hope we can get our conversation started here because you want to talk about wealth creation, and I love that topic. So before we dive into that, can you tell a little bit about who you are? And here's an icebreaker question for you. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? So the mic is yours there, sir.
The best piece of advice I've ever been given. So to start, well, my name is Spencer Williams. I'm an internet entrepreneur. I run the company Williams Wealth Creation, scale selling, and I'm also recently partnered in Typhone's bookkeeping services. And I think that's how you ended up actually hearing about me, was through Adam Typhone. So we're providing bookkeeping services to people. We're helping people start and grow their online businesses. People just like yourself, maybe they want to have a podcast, maybe they want to start a side hustle, maybe they're tired of their job and they're ready for a change and they want to start an online business that can support them full time, make 6 figures a year. Maybe they want to travel the world, and in order to do that you need money, and an online business you can run while you travel and make money and potentially have maybe a nicer vacation around the world because you can earn an income doing it, or at least the cash that you need to do it. So there's many reasons that people work with us. And we've helped a lot of people do just that. I think even Adam, who you met us through, we've been working together for about 8 months. He was doing around $0 before I met him. And in the last 8 months, we brought him from 0 to 50,000. And that's considering he maintains this level, which most of his clients, I've interacted with some of them myself. They said they want to have a long-term relationship with him. They want to keep a bookkeeper for many years to come. So I have no surprise that he's going to maintain the level of success that he's at and even be able to build on it. And I think by the end of year one, we might have been able to create a 6-figure income from him, starting from absolutely zero. And that's working from home, online business. So we're helping people do things like that. But like I said, you don't have to be performing at that level to work with us. Like, you could want to take your family on an extra 2 or 3 vacations a year, and you need an extra $6,000 to $10,000 to do that. And learning how to start an online business can give you the income you need to get that. So that's what we're doing with Williams Wealth Creation when we're working with individuals. That's more the B2C side, and the B2B side is for people who already have an established online business. Maybe they're making 6 figures, 100,000 plus a year, and what they're looking to do is remove themselves from the business a little bit more, or scale up. So they want to build a sales team, a scalable sales team, and sales processes around that. So we would go in and we'd help them with the hiring processes. We'd help them with putting the people, like the right positions in the company that they'll need, building the sales team. We'll help them build the systems the sales team uses to function day to day. And then we'll work with them until that sales team is kind of going and the company knows what's happening. They're making money. So that's both sides of Williams Wealth Creation. Then, of course, we have scale selling as well, which is just digital marketing services. So same kind of demographic as the corporate side of Williams Wealth Creation. If you're making 6 figures plus and you're looking to multiply your business, digital marketing can be a good way to do that. And if you're maybe not making 6 figures plus, like, join coaching or just learn how to do some of the digital stuff on your own, because it's expensive to hire a digital marketing team. But when the time comes, you'll know, because you'll have the cash flow to do so. And then in the meantime, I believe you should do it on your own, and you can get a lot of traction just doing it on your own. So yeah, the topic I wanted to discuss was actually starting a 6-figure online business and a 7-figure online business, and a little bit what goes into, building the 6-figure, or I should really say 0 to 100,000 a year online business. And then what also goes into building the, $1 million plus a year online business, or multiple 6 figures. So yeah, and the best piece of advice I received, I didn't forget about that question. I've been trying to think of it because I've received a lot of good advice, right? So I don't really know, like, it's hard to answer because a lot of the actions that I decided to take, a lot of the things that I've done came from a culmination of a lot of people. And I like to, it's like every decision I make, like I don't necessarily listen to every single thing everybody tells me, but I ask everybody and I take everybody's opinion or thoughts on something into account. And then I kind of, compile it and come up with my own conclusion based on that. But one thing that I always go back to, and a story that I always tell people in regards to some of the best advice I've ever had, is it's not actually advice, but it's almost indirect advice, if you will. And I've, before I started my businesses, before I got into the path of even trying to become wealthy, financially independent, help people around the world become wealthy and financially independent through starting and growing businesses, entrepreneurship, teaching them how to invest, manage their money, things like that. Before I got into all of that, I wanted to make sure that I knew how to do it properly, right? I didn't want to go in blindly and try to do something that I couldn't do. So I would talk to a lot of people who were a lot older than me. People, like at the time I was maybe 15 to 18 years old, and I'd be talking to people that were my dad's age, maybe 40 to 60 years old, and sometimes even older, like grandparents. And I would ask them for a lot of advice, or rather than advice, I'd actually ask all of them, what's the biggest thing that you regret when you were younger? So they never actually gave me like direct advice, if you will, but they told me the stuff that they regretted. And I made it a point to try to not ever, when I get to that age, look back and say the exact same thing that they said to me. And surprisingly, the biggest one that I heard from a lot of people was that they regretted spending their money on stupid things, aka what they meant was they went to the bar and they partied a lot and they chased women a lot when they were younger, and they said it was a big waste of time and money that they wish they didn't do. And I asked a lot of them to quantify, like, what do you think you would have had, like why is that even, because you must have had a fun time, right? So it can't be that bad, like you didn't lose out on everything. Why is it your biggest regret? And a lot of them say they think they'd have, at least $250,000 to $1 million plus more if they, rather than spending that money and time partying, they invested that time and money into something productive that could create them wealth longer term. And some of the wealthier ones probably would have had millions and millions of dollars more if they put all of their time and energy into something productive. And some of the ones who maybe were just passive investors. I mean, even if you're spending $500, $600 a month partying or on your bad habits, let's say you smoke or something like that, $500 or $600 a month extra into even something simple like an ETF of the S&P 500 compounded over 30 or 40 years, which is bringing you from, when you start doing that stuff, 18 years old, 21 years old in the States, when you're allowed to do that, all the way until retirement, that would equal $1 million plus, or at least a couple $1 million. So it's like a lot of them are right, and that's and that's a lot of why I invest and work really hard at a young age and don't spend as much time partying and doing things like that. And I was also, I think, fortunate to have a pretty crazy high school experience. So I felt like I got almost all of the partying out of my system that I needed to in high school. I probably, did more partying than some people do in their lifetime when I was in high school. So that was good, and I don't need it anymore. And but yeah, I've made it a point to listen to that advice. I've spoke to a lot of people who are older, said, what's the biggest thing that you regret? And I guess the best piece of advice I've got was hearing about what people who are older than me, but had the same goals as me when they were my age, what their regrets were, and how they could have got there faster, what they think the better approach would be.
Well, I'm listening to your story, and we always get pieces of advice, but I think the biggest thing that makes you different is you took action on the advice. So what's the thing, a lot of people, or a lot of entrepreneurs, we get a lot of great advice. We're the age of information, but what's the biggest thing that you think is the missing piece for people not to make that success? Like you said, not taking the action. Do you think that's the biggest mistake, or what do you think has been the biggest mistake? Or challenge?
Well, I think there's an important distinction, and this was another great piece of advice that I got from a mentor that I had early on. And I've paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for business mentorships from people who were, where I wanted to be. Right. So, but what he said, and this was a great piece of advice that I always, have stuck with me and remind people of, and it goes along with what you said, A lot of people, they do believe knowledge is power, but knowledge it is not power on its own. Knowledge applied is power, right? So I think that's an important distinction. And what you're talking about is like, yeah, you can know what to do, but doing it's another story. And knowing what to do is useless. Like knowledge itself is not power. Knowledge applied is when you can say that would equal power, in my opinion.
Right, right. So again, thank you. I mean, it's amazing. We've already spent 10 minutes and we're just getting to the core of the mindset behind it, but we're going to dive a little bit more into the creation mindset. So I want to remind everybody, Spencer has already been dropping nuggets. So please remember to hit that like button down there, follow up with a comment below, because, we're going to talk a little bit more about the mindset of wealth creation. So, for those who are new, and maybe stumble across this, can you explain to us what is wealth creation for those who are not familiar with that? Can you tell a little bit more about that, and then we can dive more into how that's really grown your business and how they can scale up as well?
Yeah. So wealth creation, I guess, is twofold. Do you mean what is it in terms of like my company name? Like what is more about my company, or what is wealth creation as a whole?
I think wealth creation as a whole, because we're going to dive more into your business and how you scale that up and how people can find more information about you too. But for like maybe somebody who's coming across this video who's never really figured out, or a young person is trying to figure out what is wealth creation, we got to give a basic definition first.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's the whole basis of kind of what I do and what I invest in is helping other people around the world learn the correct information and get held accountable to their goals and create wealth at the end of the day. Like obviously we're helping people start businesses, we're helping people grow their businesses, but I mean, starting and growing a business, really what we want to actually do is create wealth for people, right? We want to give them the freedom that they want. We want to give them the geographical freedom, the financial freedom, the confidence that comes with having enough money. And to do that, you need to teach more than just making money, right? Creating wealth is also about what you keep and how you grow that money over time. There's more aspects to a business than just making money, right? And you have to understand how all the pieces fit together. And wealth creation isn't something that only applies to starting a business either. That's just somebody's choice. That's just kind of their vehicle of how they are going to make money. But wealth creation, if you're going to boil it down, I guess you could call it just delayed gratification. Like it's delayed gratification in many ways. You have to invest your money into something now and get a return on that investment later. And I mean, a lot of people diversify their investments. They have some real estate, they have some businesses, they have some stocks, they have some this, they have some that. But yeah, I like to describe wealth creation as delayed gratification. You need to be okay with spending money to make money, because it does take money to make money. And you got to be patient, right? You got to have some faith and some patience, and that's how you'll see your money grow long term.
Right. I love how you mentioned that the mindset, because a lot of people, they think about going into business, but they're realizing that they're not working. Not only are you working in your business, but you need to be working on your business, and that includes your mindset, correct?
Yeah, it includes your mindset for sure. And it includes your network, right? A business is not just about making money. Maybe your network is your wealth, right? You don't need to have all of the money in your bank account. If you have a wealthy network of people that you provide services to and you all do business with each other, you'll never run out of money. None of you will ever run out of money. You'll all be supporting each other, creating a nice, healthy economy, and everybody can be rich together by working together, doing business together, right? But you don't need all of the money in your bank account, right? Wealth can come in many different forms, but I think delayed gratification is key if you actually want to create wealth. Like I've seen a lot of other young entrepreneurs like myself who are getting into business, and again, this goes back to kind of the regrets things, and this is why I'm glad that I've asked successful people before me what are their regrets, so I can literally avoid exactly that. Because like I keep saying, wealth creation is delayed gratification. And there's a lot of young entrepreneurs that have made their first $100,000 online. It doesn't even have to be a young entrepreneur. Maybe somebody in a third world country that's never had the opportunity to earn US dollars before. Maybe they're from India. They've earned their first 100,000 USD, right? And that's big for a lot of people. Maybe they are young and they've earned 100,000 at a young age. Maybe they're older. They have their first 100,000 liquid. And a lot of people I've seen, at least the young ones, they go out and they buy a fancy car, right? And that is not wealth creation. That's not what you should do. That's what you want to do, but you need to have delayed gratification, right? Like I would prefer to know I could buy a fancy car, but I don't need to go buy a fancy car. And, I've always said, like, I don't want to buy a fancy car even if I could get, I wouldn't want to buy a Lamborghini till my business is cash flowing enough that I could buy a Lamborghini every single month of the year, right? And that requires me not buying a fancy car too soon. That requires me taking my first $100,000 and putting it back into the business, back into content, back into employees, back into writing books. I have 2 books now. I have online programs. I have all of these different things. I have 6 different websites. That costs a couple thousand a year. Like, I've rolled all of the money that I've earned back into my business, back into longer term investments that also create passive streams of income, back into other people's businesses to create multiple streams of income. Like, that's how you actually create wealth long term. And the goal is to not spend your money on luxury items that you don't need until you have enough streams of income that you're never really going to go broke again. That's the whole idea. You don't have to be making $1 million a day. But if you could have $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month coming in automatically without you having to do anything, and that was reliable, very reliable, you would have the freedom and choices to do what you want day to day, to work on the things that you want to work on day to day, and to get enough assets that you can have that 8 to 12,000 a month of passive income requires an extreme amount of delayed gratification. It requires you continuing to invest back into yourself, back into your business, back into real estate, back into stocks for years and years and years. And maybe that other young entrepreneur who also made his first 100K just bought a matte black Jaguar and he looks super cool. But 2 years later, the guy's broke and he doesn't have anything. And I've got 2 books and multiple people working for me and multiple streams of income. And that's how you can continue, building your streams of income until the point that they just build themselves, and you don't need to necessarily be there. And that's the idea of wealth creation. That's what we also teach people. That's what makes us different. Like, yes, if you want to start a business with us and take all that money and go have a ton of fun with it, do it. We've seen people do it before. It's your money. It's completely your choice. But we encourage people to continue reinvesting into building generational wealth and passive income. And, that's what really gives you that creative freedom when you don't have to worry day to day about income. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I love how it took me a little while to figure out the difference between, your assets and your liabilities and stuff like that. And knowing that you're going to invest the money towards your assets and then finding assets to pay for your liabilities. Correct. Is that what I'm hearing? Is like learning what the difference is, you can expand upon that if you like.
No, yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's the goal should be to have assets, right? That should be the goal. It shouldn't be to accumulate money. Money is not worth anything other than what you spend it on. What you spent your money on determined what that money was worth, right? And you can go buy an asset or you can go buy a liability. The money itself is worthless until you spend it, but what you spend it on determines its worth, right? So yeah, your goal should be to accumulate enough assets, not enough money, so that you can pay for your lifestyle. And, I think a lot of people give in to their emotions and into instant gratification and trying to keep up with their friends and the Joneses and this and that. And I mean, yourself and your business and everything like that's always the best investment at the end of the day. So you should, I teach my clients that they should keep investing in themselves and what they know, like not even into real estate or stocks or things like that until they can create a $100,000 a year income on their own. If you can't create $100,000 a year of income on your own yet, there's still information that you need to learn and that is out there that can teach you how to do that. And once you can create $100,000 a year of an income on your own, you will have at least enough cash flow every month that investing becomes worth it. Because if you're investing like $100, I mean, you're not going to get rich investing $100. It takes money to make money, right? So the higher income that you can get, the easier it's going to be to get rich through investing passively. So people also need to remember that, majority of their wealth is going to come through the active income that they earn rather than the investment decisions that they make. And it's smarter to focus on making large amounts of money and putting it into boring, old, slow investments rather than trying to invest tiny amounts of money into things that could juice your returns thousands and thousands of percents, because that's a lot of risk and you'll probably just end up losing your money and being stuck. Right. So, yeah. Assets are definitely the goal and they should be the goal. And I think a lot of people miss out on that, even with the party example. Like, you like to party, You could go spend your cash partying, but then you're going to need to wait for another paycheck to go party again. You could delay gratification for a couple of years, invest into enough assets, and then like your portfolio can just pay for all of your parties whenever you want. And then it's like
Right.
anytime you want to party, you have dividends, you have money coming in, you have things there. And then it's like now you're not stuck working for money all the time. If you need to work all the time to go party, you're always going to be waiting for the next paycheck. If you accumulate enough assets, eventually you'll passively be able to pay for those parties and you won't have to go to work to party, So it's like,
Yeah. I said you have some really great nuggets, and it's like I said, this amazing how fast 20 minutes actually like flew by because I was all up in it. But like you said, I like how you talked about the delayed gratification. But I want to, and please make sure you check out those juicy gems because he done dropped them all through the interview. But Mr. Spencer, before we close out, what's the one thing you want people to take away from your interview today? And I know delayed gratification is one of them, but what else would you like to leave us with there, sir?
yeah, delayed gratification, believe in yourself. Don't think money is a bad thing. You need money to take care of your family. So definitely focus on your money. Don't be afraid of those conversations. But more importantly, if you have connection to the internet and you're not exploring ways to expand your income, that's not on anybody but you. Every single person that has access to the internet should be able to make more money, whether that's just an extra $1,000 that year, an extra $100 that year to pay for a dinner with your significant other, or whether that's building a full-on business that can make $100,000 to a couple $1 million a year. Like if you have access to the internet, you should be exploring ways to make more money because there's plenty of ways to make even just a couple hundred extra bucks a month that are completely passive. And then there's plenty of ways to make 50,000 plus a month that are very active. So, but regardless of your situation, if you have access to the internet, start doing research on how to make money or get in touch with people who can help you learn that because it can pay off for the rest of your life. I've people who have paid $3,000 for coaching and they end up with a $50,000 a year business back out of it. And it's like, where are you going to put $3,000 and get 50 grand a year back out afterwards? There's not too many places that can do that right now, but starting an online business is a great investment. And if you have access to the internet, you can do that. There's a niche for you, right? And soon enough, every single person on the entire planet will be on the internet too. So your market is just getting bigger. And if you think that, there's no market for me, with 8 billion people, every single person on the planet going to be on the internet, like there's people out there for you. You'd be silly to think that you couldn't find people who would love to do business with you out of the entire world.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, and that's a great way. Yes. I always remind myself whenever I feel like somebody like throws me off, I'm like, wait a minute, there's 8 billion people on this planet. Come on, you're going to let one person keep you from doing whatever you need to do. You got to be real. But that segues into my next question is, Mr. Spencer, where can people find more information about you, your businesses, and your books and everything like that? How can they connect with you?
They can look up Spencer Williams Official on Google, or look up Williams Wealth Creation on Google, or look up Scale Selling on Google, or The Online Millionaire Book is on Amazon. It's at theonlinemillionairebook.com. It's also on my website, spencerwilliamsofficial.com. So if you look up a term related to me or my companies or Spencer Williams online business, you'll find plenty of stuff available. And through all of my websites, you can directly book a call with me or somebody on my team and get in touch with us from there.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your insight and your wisdom with us. Like I said, it's amazing how fast 20 minutes can go by. But also, like my unofficial question, maybe down the road, would you maybe come back, we can dive a deeper conversation to some more wealth creation ideas or something like that?
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Thank you again. So I want to thank Mr. Williams for sharing your insight and your wisdom. Thank you again. I want to also remind everybody who tuned in, yes, that feedback is always welcome. Links that Spencer mentioned will be posted down in the description box below. So please make sure you check out there in the description box. Again, if you want to hit that like button for all those gems that Mr. Spencer dropped, please hit that like button, follow up with a comment down below. And again, if you want to continue getting more of the great insight like Mr. Spencer shared today and other amazing guests that come on the show, please hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we will see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. All right, bye-bye.